What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today, I actually wanted to tell you guys a little story about how I overcame the worst relationship I would say I've ever had in my entire life. I'm only 30, so thus far, it is the worst relationship I've ever been in. And not because he was a bad person, just because we shouldn't have been together. As long as we were, at least. Like, our timeline had gone like long ago. And I saw it, he didn't see it. He had this fog, I guess, I don't know. But basically, I stayed in that relationship way entirely too long. And because of that, I became extremely depressed. I still kind of deal with that now a little bit. Not as badly as it was in that relationship, but I feel like, I don't know, that triggered something. And I started to have more anxiety. I started to have more depression. It just wasn't a good situation. I ended up actually spending a good amount of time after leaving that relationship diving into myself and finding myself so I could, breathe again. Anyways, before we actually get into the video, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me on Instagram on both my pages. I have a hair page and a personal page. Feel free to follow both. But let's get into this. Back in 2009, I actually lost a boyfriend. He was probably the guy that, in my mind at the time, especially at the time, I was going to be with him for the rest of my life. Like, I was done looking. He was it. He ended up dying in a car accident. And because, I was extremely sad because of that, to the point where I think, I had a drinking problem, not even gonna lie. I was getting drunk every single night. At least 6 nights a week, I was drunk. The one night a week that I wasn't drunk, I was probably just laying in bed all day trying to recover to get drunk again. It was horrible. So, and I used to live in a small town called Fort Walton Beach. I ended up moving out of there probably 4 months later I just really didn't want to be there anymore. I needed to get out. And I realized I was in a bad cycle with all the drinking and whatnot. So I ended up moving to Orlando, and from the first year that I was out there, I'll be honest, I still kept drinking just as much. And then the second year I was out there, that is when I met my baby daddy. He was actually okay, this is weird, but when I met him, I put in my head that I'm like, he's David reincarnated. So David is my boyfriend who died, by the way. So I would tell myself oh, this is David, in someone else's body. It wasn't, but I was sad. I was grieving still. So that's what I told myself to cope and end up in a relationship with this guy. The first 9 months that we were together, it was great. There was nothing wrong. We were still we were young. I was 22. We were partying. We were just having fun, honestly. There was nothing. I wouldn't say that we had a bad relationship. I wouldn't say we had a good relationship. We were just two kids having a good ass time. And then I got pregnant. And it's funny because I kind of hope he never sees this, but whatever, it's here. But when I got pregnant, I immediately knew I didn't want to be with him. I don't know what it was, but it's just as soon as I got pregnant, I was just I don't want to be with him anymore. And not to say I didn't want to have the baby with him. I just knew I didn't want to be with him. I remember there was actually a point during my pregnancy where I tried to break up with him, and the day that it was happened to be the day of his birthday. I didn't realize what day it was. I didn't know. This was our first full year together, so I really didn't know what his birthday was. So obviously the breakup fell through and we stayed together. I decided to stay in the relationship, obviously. I would say probably the next 2.5 years were actually pretty straight. I wouldn't even say I had any complaints about anything, but slowly but surely, I just didn't want to be there anymore. Probably by year 3 of being in a relationship with him, I was I just don't want to do this. I don't want to look at him. I don't want to be with him. I don't want to kiss him. I don't want to touch him. I don't want to have sex with him. I just didn't want to deal with him anymore, but I didn't know how to get out. I was also extremely broke because I was a new hairstylist. I just got out of school. So I didn't have the clientele, I didn't have money, I wasn't really serving like that anymore. And then on top of that, we have a 2-year-old who I had to pay for daycare for, and it just, financially, I just didn't have it to leave that relationship. So stayed another, 2 years? 3 years, actually. We ended up being together for about 6 years. And I would say, boy, those last 2 years of being with him were the worst 2 years ever. Like, I felt so trapped in that relationship. Like, thinking about it, I just like, I can feel the suffocation. Like, I was suffocating myself trying to be in this relationship. And really, I was doing it for, it's fun, like, so when I was growing up, I always used to tell myself I would never stay in a relationship for the child. My bitch ass was staying in a fucking relationship because of a child. And I think that's the dumbest decision that anyone could ever make, only because your kids want to see you happy. If you're going to stay in a relationship that makes you unhappy, they're going to end up being unhappy people as well. And I just didn't want that unhappiness around my daughter. I started to notice that I was like a lot sadder. Like, I wasn't even to the point where the depression hit so hard that I couldn't even retain clients. Like, so I finally broke up with him. And I did it on Mother's Day, actually, thinking like, well, it's my day, so it's my day to do what I want on my day. This man, of course, this is the Mother's Day when he just goes all out. I have this big bouquet of roses, like huge, like 12 to 24 roses on the counter with chocolates and like a perfume and all this nice stuff. So I'm sitting here like, shit. I can't break up with him now. Look what he just did. But then I was just like, no, Katrina, like, you're not happy. It's time to not be unhappy anymore. Break up with him and get this over with. So of course, then we break up. I ended up telling him that I wanted to break up with him. I did like a bitch move and I sent him a text message, but whatever. I have a hard time saying things to his face, and I don't like breaking up with people. I hadn't broken up with someone in forever, so I just don't like doing it. Anyways, so after we broke up, of course, like, he did this whole boohoo thing to my friends, and then they in turn were like, oh, but he said he wants to change and he really wants to make it work and he's so sad and blah. Of course, my conscience got to me. I started to feel bad. I was like, maybe I didn't try hard enough. Maybe I should try harder to try to make this work. Dumb decision, I would say, but you know what a bitch did? A bitch got back with him. And I realized it was a mistake when he wasn't willing to forgive me at all. Like, when I tell you I'm pulling out all the stops, I was trying my hardest. I was like planning dates for us. And I was really trying to like be awake when he was around and all this other stuff. And then like, I would say like 3 months in, I just kind of was just like, he don't care. He don't even like me no more. Like, I've already messed this up enough. Like, there's no point. I'm still not happy. I'm still not satisfied with anything. I still don't want to touch him. I still don't want to kiss him. I still don't want to have sex with him. So we ended up getting a new apartment together. And I would say not even, we moved in October. And right after Christmas, I broke up with him again. And this time, it was kind of more of a full mutual thing. At least I thought. We're getting there, though. But because I just remember coming home one day, and mind you, at this time, I spent a lot of time in my car in the parking lot of my apartment complex just because I didn't want to be in the house. So I'd get home, I would park, and I would just sit on my phone for like about an hour. And then I finally come in the house. So I came in the house finally and sat down, and I must have had some type of look on my face. I'm not sure, but he just kind of looks at me and goes, you know, you don't have to be here if you don't want to. And I was just like, but I mean, are you going to be okay? Just because the whole reason that I stayed was just because I wanted to spare his feelings. Like, I was willing to sacrifice my happiness to spare his feelings. Once he basically said, like, I'll be fine. If you're not happy, you're not happy kind of a thing. So I was like, cool, then I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to do this no more. And that was that. And we broke up. And I would say for like a good like month, we were fine. I thought we were doing so good. I'm like, oh my God, like, we can really co-parent together. He's not pissed off at me like he was the first time and blah, 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 obviously because he expected it this time. But that's when my real hell started. It got worse. And like mine and his relationship got worse because he started drinking more. I guess he was more hurt by us not being together than I thought he was. So because of that, he was out drinking more and more, and then he would come home, still drunk, early as hell in the morning. Like he would get home at like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and I would wake up to him standing over my bed, ready to argue. And we had some of the worst arguments. And like basically when I broke up with him, there was a sliver of a chance that maybe I would want to get back with him one day. But boy, after the breakup, he solidified that to never happen again. I will never get back with my baby daddy ever again. I have never been talked to by anybody, man or woman, the way that he talked to me after we broke up. Like, it was ridiculous. He would say things to me like, he said, I hope I catch a disease or something like that or whatever, which rude as fuck. And then he even said that I was going to come crawling back to him, broke and pregnant, and I was going to need him to take care of Jada. And basically he was going to laugh in my face and say he told me so because he was going to be doing so much better than me. And I was just like, dude, why can't we just be happy for each other and live our life and take care of our daughter and go on about it? But that wasn't the case for him. He wanted to be petty. He wanted to be rude. And because of all the things that he said to me, I will never get back with him again because of that. But thank the Lord, I have a thick skin because I was literally getting verbally abused the entire time, to the point where I think I even said something that he said about me to someone else, believing that about me, which I was just like I said it, it came out of my mouth and I was like, I don't think that about myself. Like, that's what he said to me. But it was getting into my head because he kept saying it over and over again every single time we got into an argument, which was about 4 times a week at least that we were getting into like large screaming match arguments. I want to say the last big argument that we ever got into, he actually threatened to take my daughter away from me, to take me to court over custody if I wouldn't have a conversation with him over what the fuck ever. And so that, I think, like, sent me over the top. I don't know what kind of screaming I was doing, but I went the fuck off. The fuck off. And because of that, the cops got called and some more stuff. I didn't give a fuck. I was at work. I wasn't there for that. But the cops got caught, I guess, over what the fuck ever. And basically, I think I had to call someone to let them know that I was fine and I was okay because I lived there or whatever. But that was the end of that. That was the last argument, big argument that we got into because Crazy Katrina came out. And Crazy Katrina's only came, this is probably like the 3rd time in my life that Crazy Katrina had come out. But when Crazy Katrina comes out, know it's worse than the Category 5 hurricane that ran through New Orleans. But finally, I moved out and got the fuck out. Like, thank God. So, moral of the story, the only person that matters in this world is you. Like, I really had to learn that as far as you know it, you only have one life to live on this earth. And I feel like, why are you going to spend it with someone that you're not even happy with? Like, or spend it doing something that you're not even happy doing. And like, this goes for people with their jobs, with their relationships, with whatever. One life as far as you know it. One. So, make it count. Whew. I feel like I got a lot off my chest just now. I appreciate you guys for listening as always. If you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. If you didn't at the beginning of this video, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. Follow my Instagram handles, and I will see you guys next time.